John Constable, the painter who turned ordinary English fields into something touching and unforgettable. He painted rain, wind, cattle, cottages, and the slow lives of the River Stour with a precision that feels like memory and a bravado that feels like discovery. Today, we'll walk his lanes, study his cloud-strewn skies, and listen for the small human stories in his landscapes. The boy with a dog, the miller on his bridge, the Hay Wain tethered in the shallow river. Constable rejected grand classical narratives and instead insisted that truth and beauty could be found in the familiar. His canvases brought weather to life and altered how artists would see nature for generations. We'll examine his most famous works, from Dedham Vale to the Hay Wain, explore his techniques, and uncover the curiosities that made his art both radical and deeply English. Stay with me, and you might never look at an English meadow the same way again. Before we dive in, don't forget to like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep creating more educational videos like this one. John Constable was born into a comfortably prosperous Suffolk family and raised amid the very landscapes he would later immortalize. East Bergholt and the adjacent Dedham Vale, the countryside he knew from childhood, were not mere motifs. They were his emotional archive. From the start, he practiced outdoors, making sketches and oil studies of hedgerows, lanes, and riverbanks. Those studies informed larger canvases like the Vale of Dedham and numerous views of Dedham, where we can see his attention to topography and local light. He admired the old masters, but he preferred direct observation over classical idealization. Instead of mythic subjects, he painted the ordinary, cottages, mill wheels, and the intimate geometry of fields. Look at his Dedham Vale works, and you'll notice how each tree, fence, and footpath is described with a fidelity that reads like testimony, a record of a world that might otherwise have vanished into time. Flatford Mill and the Stour Valley were Constable's laboratory. In paintings such as boat building near Flatford Mill, he focused on daily rural industry, boats, mills, and men at work, and made them dignified subjects for grand canvases. These are not picturesque postcards. They are careful investigations into how light plays across water, how reflections fracture with breeze, and how human presence animates the landscape. Wivenhoe Park and other Essex views show his ability to balance intimate foreground detail with distant spatial recession. He often returned to the same view, producing sketches, studio studies, and finished oils to capture transient conditions. That practice, repeated observation, layered study, is key to understanding his art. The physical labor of country life becomes a compositional device, guiding the eye along paths and across rivers to a horizon that feels both specific and emblematic of England itself. If there is one painting that defines Constable for many of us, it is the Hay Wain. Painted in 1821, the Hay Wain shows a low wooden cart pulled through the shallow River Stour, cottages tucked into trees, and a cloudscape that seems to breathe. Constable worked obsessively. There's a full-scale study and numerous sketches for the composition, evidence that what appears effortless was in fact carefully constructed. The Hay Wain exists in several museum reproductions and variations, but the essential elements remain the same: the serene balance between land, water, and sky, and the small human dramas happening within. He painted the sky as actively as the earth, giving weather the protagonism it deserves. Critics in his day found the piece provincial. Overseas, especially in Paris, the painting was admired and began to shift continental ideas about landscape painting. When you look closely at his studies for the Hay Wain, you can see the handwritten notes and quick, tactile brushwork, a reminder that Constable's genius was both intellectual and tactile. Constable's landscapes often include people, sometimes nominal figures, sometimes central to the story. The Cornfield, painted in 1826, pairs a youthful figure and his dog with a full-scale rural panorama. Here, the boy and animals add scale, heart, and narrative without dominating the agrarian setting. Constable loved to place figures on paths or near gateposts to invite the viewer into the scene. He composed these human elements with the same careful observation he gave a cloud or a tree. Preparatory studies and small oil sketches for the Cornfield reveal how he adjusted posture, light, and clothing to harmonize with the surrounding crops and sky. It's easy to miss that Constable's figures are not portraits. They are human punctuation marks within a living landscape, helping us read distance and time. One of Constable's lasting contributions was his treatment of the sky. He believed that clouds and weather were essential to meaning, not background filler, but expressive actors. Works such as Salisbury Cathedral from the Meadows juxtapose architectural permanence with ephemeral atmospheric events, rainbows, mist, sudden sunlight. In his Salisbury Cathedral paintings, the cathedral's spire anchors a vast, shifting sky and reminds us that man-made monuments live under the same meteorological drama as fields and rivers. Constable famously made dozens of sky studies, watercolor sketches, and oil sketches to capture specific cloud formations. Those studies informed his large canvases, allowing him to render the sensation of a passing storm or the warmth of late afternoon light. The skies in his work read almost like portraits themselves, full of character and mood. Constable was not limited to inland scenes. He traveled to the south coast and created striking seascapes such as Weymouth Bay with approaching storm. These paintings explore a different palette, the metallic light of seaside air, the sweep of a low horizon, and the drama of an incoming storm. At the coast, his interest in clouds intensified. He painted swathes of sky that feel like moving water. The ocean works show his command of tonal contrast and his ability to translate the weight of air into paint. Even in these more dramatic seascapes, he remained true to an observational ethic. Every wave, cloud, and ridge of sand is recorded with a fidelity born of study. Technically, Constable was distinctive. He painted alla prima in many of his outdoor studies, working wet into wet to capture immediacy, and in the studio he aggregated those studies into finished works. He loved textured brushwork, often leaving energetic strokes that celebrated material paint as much as visual fact. His prolific sketchbooks and mezzotint reproductions helped spread his ideas. Friends and engravers such as David Lucas produced prints after his works, allowing Constable's images to circulate widely. Public reception in Britain was mixed at first, but in France, the painter Delacroix and others admired his freedom and fidelity to nature, a crucial influence on the later Impressionists, who took his lessons about light and fleeting effects even further. He also made intimate portraits and studies, including a self-portrait and family commissions, showing that his range included people as well as places. Constable's legacy lives in the way artists learned to see atmosphere, weather, and the honest particulars of place. John Constable's art changed how the world looked at a humble English landscape. He insisted on painting what he loved, and in doing so taught future generations that truth to nature could be radical. His skies taught painters to notice passing light. His studies taught them to work from life. His narratives, small human acts inside large natural settings, taught them humility before the world. Today, Constable's canvases are studied in major museums and reproduced in classrooms as models of observation and feeling combined. When you next see a cloud or a patch of sunlight on a field, you might hear his brushstrokes whisper, "Look closely, there is a story here." Thank you for joining this walk through Constable's world. If you enjoyed this exploration, remember to like, subscribe, and come back for more deep dives into the lives and techniques of great artists.